Hello and welcome back. This is something a little bit different. So there was an event on at the weekend. Two teams competing to build the most rockets possible within 48 hours, starting from a blank map in vanilla. And I was on the red team, and this is the red team's base. So this was 48 hours of work to build. We were spread around the world, so it was various people in various time zones, and there was normally some group of people on at any one time. So I'm just taking the train back. What I've done is download the save locally. The map is about 49 hours old because I think the map was run for about 1 hour before anybody was allowed to log in. And so you can see this clicking through. This is us launching satellites. We really are launching satellites that fast. Launching rockets, not satellites. So the challenge was to launch rockets. We mostly launch rockets without satellites in because satellites take resources to build. I think we've launched lots and lots and lots of green circuits into space. So, spawn was around here somewhere. Somewhere down here. There it is, spawn. Let's get out of the way. And JD made a nice blueprint to get us going, which was a starter base. It just got to red belts and a handful of other things. Then he slapped down the blueprint for this main base. At that point it had God, my phone's really noisy. At that point these weren't beacon smelters, obviously these were burner smelters, feeding in lots of lanes of iron, lots of lanes of copper. Then that went into an old style green circuit making area, which has now been upgraded to beacons. Then into the refinery. Above us we have the making useful stuff area. So start by making lots of gears, then your belts, then your inserters, and then assorted other random stuff, including suits. This is then being augmented, as you can see, with things bolted on the side that people needed for various things, so it's become less pretty as time has gone on. But the basic guts of it is still there. Then we were using double-headed trains, so there are these stations that weave in and out of the whole site. It was a 48-hour game, as we were saying, and so we were just doing storage. Things got put in storage. There wasn't a lot of recycling. A bit of module making on base. Then if we carry on down, this is all our rocket fuel, other petrochemicals, into a big plastics maker, sulfuric acid. Below the sulfuric acid there's batteries. Let's run down. Yeah, lots and lots of batteries. Again, more train stations below. There you are. Then this was an old style red circuit build, it's now a beaconed one. Then we had one more green circuit build, we now have two more green circuit builds. Blues. And it was really set up so that the resources would come in, they would be turned into circuits and then turned into modules. Anything left over would go down the bus and end up being used for research. So this is the research area here. And it's the last thing, it's whatever materials we haven't used for other stuff turned into research. Okay. Then initially there was a little rocket silo on the end of here. So you can see that here's the solar panels. There was builds for all the other rocket stuff over here. This is a leftover belt, I believe. Yeah, it's a leftover belt here for the low density structures. Right, so that's all pretty cool. Then what? So the challenge was to build rockets, and you had to launch the rockets. It didn't care what the payload was. It was just to numerically launch as many rockets as possible. So let's come over to our rocket silos. This is the first of 3 replicates of this. We're launching a rocket. Look at that. And this silo itself has launched 603 rockets. This one has launched 604. Can't really argue with that. So this is the build which I built, and then JD and others tweaked. So the rockets need their rocket fuel, low density structures, and rocket control units. These are in stacks big enough to consume 1 blue belt worth of material. These are 12 beacon builds. They're really compressed, so I'm only using 3 squares sideways plus the beacon above and below. But this is so there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 beacons around it. Really squashed in. So these things are hammering out material, and it turns out that you need 1 whole belt plus 3 machines to hit enough output for 1 rocket a minute. So we have 3 of low density, 3 of rocket control, 3 of fuel stacked up here, and then we use belt splitters to demix the material off that belt. Excuse me, I'm yawning because this 48-hour event, I was awake for a lot of the 48 hours. So this is our belt bringing in the speed modules and blue chips for the rocket control units. Right, and then we've got this mini bus in the middle. So this is feeding in steel for the low density structures, feeding in fuel for the rocket fuel. Then we have plastic coming in here to red circuit, sorry. And I tried various ways of building this to try and keep it up. The machine here produces about 43 cables a second, I think, which is more than you can put out onto a blue belt. That would be 40 items. What I found was if you had these 3 inserters loading the belt, you could reliably... Oh, thanks very much. I really wanted that wood. You could reliably fill half a belt. And we're bringing in, additionally, green circuits and plastic to get these red circuits built. Then if you use filter stacks here, then they pull off only from one side or the other of the belt without the arm needing to move. So that worked really well. Right, we've got a bit of a lack of plastic at the moment. I think there's an issue with petroleum not being delivered. So then that feeds up here. Then we need to make our tier 1 speed modules. And again, there's enough of these to consume a full belt. So that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 of them consume a full belt of inputs. But we needed 12 for the build. So when our petroleum reappears... Come on. Oh, I'm full of... Come on. Stop being stupid. Okay, so when the petroleum reappears, you will see that we're outputting not quite full belts of red for 2 stacks of machines. This contraption here is used throughout. What this does is make sure that this belt is fully compressed from 2 partial belts. So the first thing we do is a priority split to fill in as much as we can. Then we take the leftovers. So that's priority onto here, you can see. We must have had a delivery of petrol. So it's all going this way. Now, you saw a chip skipped through. what happens is, if when you're priority merging, there are some gaps in this belt which line up with gaps in this belt, then you get a gap flowing through. So it's unusual, but it does happen that you get the gaps lining up. So if we just did a priority split here, we would still get a not quite fully compressed red belt here. And that would mean that the speed modules were not being made, because they really do consume an entire belt of input. So what we do is we take the excess, we split it in two. One of those just backfills the belt. The other one is itself split in two. And that hops under and backfills the other half of the belt. And then this is whatever is left over from backfilling this belt on both sides. Now in this case, we are sending these off right and left. The ones that are going left are feeding these top two speed machines, which make us up to the 12 we need to get all of our low density structures done. Okay, so if we head over here, these are the rocket silos. We are generally filling up this box with green circuits that happen to be flowing past. These are the green circuits which a nearly full line is going into speed modules, and then the rest is topping up these extra two speed module machines. Occasionally we are doing research. So when we're doing research, we load in a satellite. When we're not doing research, we load in a green circuit, and the rocket launches, we get a message up saying the rocket was launched, but it didn't contain a satellite, and our number of rockets launched ticks up by one either way. Okay, so that's the red circuit build. The red circuit is fed the green circuits and plastic from below. It had to be fed from below because the plastic was coming from here, so I had to feed in the green circuits from the same side, particularly as the copper cable is going up. So that's why we have these funny splits. Okay, when the red circuit build is running flat out, it consumes half a line of greens per reds, and we have 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's 2 full lines of greens go into this. Then we feed 3 full and 3 half lines of green into the blue circuits. So the blue circuit build is interesting. I think you can feed 5 blue circuit machines off 2 full belts of green chips. Instead, I chose to feed 3 off 1.5 of green chips because I needed, I think, 8 blue circuit machines for this build. 9 is capacity. It gives you a little bit of leeway. It doesn't ever back up in practice. So 9 machines. So 3 by 3 gives you 9. That was a nice way to fit things in. I don't know quite why that's done that way. That's obviously a modification by somebody. So this is the green build. The green circuit build needed 16 machines, I think. 1, 2, 3, 6, 9, 12, 15. 15 machines, that's right. I think it actually needed 14 on paper, but in practice I couldn't get 14 to behave. Again, because it's one of these things where, because the greens are consumed by various other things, and if the various other things don't run at full speed, then belts back up. And when the belts back up, then the greens aren't being produced. There's a feedback loop here. So I needed the extra green machine, which turned out to be this one. So that was the +1 green machine. And that was the one which meant that the appropriate belts backed up so that the whole thing would work. Okay, so we're doing the same sort of backfilling trick here. We have to send a full belt of greens off to the speed modules, to the long stack of speed modules. There's really no way around that. Okay, I'm not quite sure what's going on here. yeah, I'm not sure what's going on here. I think maybe someone tidied up my belts but didn't get rid of this bit. Anyway, so then after we've sent a full belt this way for the stack of 10 speed mods, and then there's a trickle going to the 2 speed module machines, all the other belt green circuits are going around to make red and blue. So this is our split line of red and green for the blue circuits, and it turns out that's sufficient to run all the blue circuit machines. Alright, what else do we have? Plastic. So plastic's being made by these refineries. We are running... Sorry, refineries by chem plants. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 battery makers. 8 is completely overkill, like a waste of resources. You need more than 6. So the plastic goes to 2 things, red circuits and low density structures. Most of it goes to low density, a bit of it goes to reds. Okay, so these machines output plastic in here. This plus this don't quite output one full belt. They output about 0.85 or something. I can't remember the number, but it's not a full belt. This was entertaining to figure out. So we do a hop here with an underground. That then comes out. It happens to be the correct side for these to feed into. So this backfills whatever this doesn't produce. Right. So we have our 3 almost full belts and our 1 almost half full belt. That then gets fed into a 4-4 balancer. We consume 2 full belts into our 4 red circuits. Then we take our 2 remaining belts. 1 full belt gets split and put into low density structures. We have 2 stacks of low density structures. So this consumes a full belt plastic between it. And then this is our top up, our 3 machines. So that just takes a dribble of plastic. Great. Let's carry on down. I didn't bother backfilling these. It's good enough. It's good enough. Okay, then the other thing we do here, because we're near all the fluids, is make our sulfuric acid for our blue circuits. The blue circuits eat so little sulfuric acid that you don't really need pumps in your pipes to keep everything moving. It just dribbles in and gets used. This is ratioed out for the right amount of sulfur. It's massively overkill for the sulfuric acid, but who cares? Okay, then this is the refinery complex. So we're using 16 beacons here. We have a pump to pull out the petroleum, and we have a pump to load in the crude, because they are the highest volume fluids. So we go up here, then the light oil goes around into cracking and into making solid fuel. So there was a bit of entertainment here. We get light oil from heavy to light cracking, so we pump our light from the refinery into this pipe, which is then being topped up by heavy to light cracking. Heavy to light cracking. Then at this point we do some pipe jiggling, put in a pump, that then pumps all the light oil we can find into the solid fuel build. Then anything that does not get pumped this way leaks into cracking. We just need 2 cracking machines. Normally you'd need loads, because you'd be doing stuff with the light oil. Basically the light oil will all become petroleum. But because here we're turning it into solid fuel, nearly all of it goes into solid. A little bit leaks back here. And the pump has to be set here. Otherwise these do too much cracking and the petroleum does crazy things, because fluid mechanics are crazy. Okay, and then the only other thing here is the let's carry on down. Yeah, so the coal comes in, the copper comes in. I wonder if I don't have legs in this suit. Maybe that's why I'm walking so slowly. Right, and then the iron ore comes in to... All of these iron ore smelters this side, I believe, are making iron plate for green circuits. Then all the ones this side are making plate for making steel. And again, this is a 12 beacon build, so let's just walk through it. I'll get an end one because that might be easiest to see. Okay, so really simple, no belt stubs. I did a design with belt stubs initially, and JD told me to pull them all out, so I did. So we pull off the belt, we smelt, we stick out. The only interesting thing here is that this is a filter stack inserter. It's on a timer, and that reduces the amount of time that the stack inserter is doing anything. Okay, so we do 1, 2, 3, 4. That's nearly a full belt. So this one outputs onto the normal output. Then we use a, remember we're putting things on the outside lane. So then we use a priority split with a filter on it to push it this way. Then we turn it directly in. So material is on this side, which then puts it to the right side of the underground. So the lower right. So that's done a swap of which side the material is on. Then, there's something wrong with this. So this is... That's meant to be there. Oh, grief. That must have got lost in translation somewhere. So this then does a T. The material comes in on this side, gets transferred to the offside belt, which then with this here gets pushed to the offside here. So we've managed to put most of the material on the inside, the rest on the offside. Alright. Let's fix all these. All that, blah, 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 that's us launching rockets. That's literally, we are launching rockets at that frequently. It's insane. Okay. So then the only other thing to look at briefly is the steel smelting. Yeah, it's... oh, grief. Well, that's a shame. I feel slightly annoyed by that. Somebody was probably screaming at this, saying he's done it wrong. Oh, it's done correctly in the steel. Okay. So this is the steel build. The plates were going upwards on this belt. In the steel one, they go downwards. So the lane balancing here had to be done slightly differently to get it upside down. So then we bring the steel in between these two builds. What are the requirements? Well, it's that this whole site could build itself. So you'd stamp down the blueprint and it would build that. So that involved putting a Roboport network right throughout it. So the plates come up here, then they are shifted to the other side, go up, come back down as steel. So then we're making 2.2 blue belts of steel. So that comes through here. And then all of that steel gets turned into low density structures. So we take in 3, we do a 3 input, balance, 3 output. Then this goes into low density, and then this is the trickle for the 3 machines. When it's all running properly, these belts should be fully compressed. They are not fully compressed, and those gaps, I will bet you any money, are the residual from from not having the T's in the copper plates that are feeding the steel. Okay, so that's it pretty much. Let's just walk out of the way. Great. So that is the rocket build. We have 1, 2, 3 of these things, which is just absolutely bonkers. So here we are. This one's running. Exactly the same build, probably with the same snag. Yeah, it's got the same snag. Grief. So then the other thing I helped design was this modules base. Now it should be turned off. Yeah, it is. Good. This built the majority of the modules for the rocket launching. So it itself involves lots of modules. It's a 12 beacon build, again, but it's entirely bot based. And the idea is, so the trains bring in iron ore here. The iron ore gets smelted and then provided to the green circuit machines. They also make copper cable, so they need copper. And for that, we have a copper smelter. So a train comes in here, drops off copper ore. So this is a logistics network. It is exactly one logistics network for the entire copper area, you can see. Then the green chip area, which is also doing the iron smelting, is its own network. You can see, so these chests here, this chest is in one network, this chest is in the other network. So this chest is requesting copper plate. This chest is offering it up within this network. So that bridges the network. Then further down, we have the green chips being offered up into the area that's making blue circuits and red circuits. So this also makes the plastic. For the red circuits, you need coils, plastic, green circuit. The green circuits are all made above and imported. The plastic and the coils get made here. And you have a row of, so 4 make these 2 items, 4. 4 make these 2 items, 4. And then I rounded down. I think there was a couple of machines that weren't needed. Anyway, it's all ratioed out to within an inch of its life. Then once you've made your red and blue circuits, and you have to load in coal for that, so this is the train stop actually within the build that dumps the coal. Then the blue, red and green circuits are then bridged with these inserters into this network, and this network makes your speed and productivity modules. Somebody's rolled the whole lot over to speed. The original blueprint had 3/4 speed, 1/4 productivity. So then this is quite a compact build. This is all JD. I originally had the speed modules being made within this network, but he rebuilt it, added this build here. It's quite a pretty compact build. And then all the modules that are made from here get put in this module train, which then takes them off, dumps them in where they are needed. So you slap down a rocket blueprint, you add a module offload station to the side of it, fire this up, and then this will just shuttle modules back and forth. If we go to production, 10 hours, production, let's do all. So we've produced 208 million copper cables. Insane. 71 million greens, 2.4 million blues, 15 million reds. Remember, this is all in just 48 hours. 1.7 million speed ones. All right, let's carry on down. Just 2 power switches. 1 shotgun. Right, what I'm looking for is productivity and speed modules. So we've made over 1,000 fluid pumps, which is incredible. Right, 7.9k of speed 3s and 28,000 speed 3. So nearly 8k productivity, 28,000 of the speed modules. That's just incredible. Right, in 10 hours. Yeah, so you can see at about 7 hours before the end of the game, basically the speed module production was turned off. This module here was disabled because it only really needed to be on while we were building sites. Okay, and yeah, this was pretty much off. So put it on 50 hours. You can see the production rate ramped up and up and up. Then it wasn't needed anymore. So that's it. Other people did the hard work of extending out territory. We were in a constant battle to get resources in quick enough. We were constantly low on power. This was the last solar area I put in before I gave up, before I just ran out and had to sleep. But yeah, the solar grew and grew and grew. We have some nuclear plants over here. Here. Oh, I want to show you something. It's something I didn't know. We had a couple of people from the other team jump in and kill us. Right, what weapon do I have? Do I have any weapon? No. Okay, well let's make. You'll see why in a minute. Okay, so I need some copper. Okay, and we'll grab some more iron. And let's grab. Am I auto trashing? I don't want to auto trash at the moment. I want to make one of those. I don't think this will be enough, to be honest. Need some green circuits for a rocket launcher. Right, let's make a rocket launcher. Can I request? Can I request rockets? Okay, let's see if I can request. No, we don't have any in storage. No, we don't have any of that in storage. Do we have any uranium ammo? No, don't have any of that. Nukes, do we have any of those? Nope. Nades? No. Standard nades? Nope, it's like we didn't actually produce weapons. What I was going to do was go over to the nuclear reactors and shoot them to make a nuclear explosion. I discovered this is a thing. I really didn't know this. But apparently they really do explode with a big bang if you shoot them. How far away are we? Oh, I can't be bothered, it's too far away. Anyway, I believe these maps are available for download. So that's the red team which I was on, and this is the other team's map. So let's have a look. So yeah, this is a different size thing, isn't it? So perimeter wall with lasers, pretty cool. We have a set of trains here dropping off circuits and plate. So this must be going in. Yeah, this is going into the rocket build. So they're making the basics off-site, then bringing it in. Yeah, that looks fine. That's a perfectly sensible 8.8 build. Cool. What's over here? Mining that's now dead. There was a lot of that for everybody. Oh, so they're making the red circuits here. Interesting. Cool. Okay, so then this is their main base. Looks like there's been some graffiti. Alright, so low density rocket control units. Yeah, a blue build here, more blue. Similar red build to the other place. Oh, even more blue. Modules, cool. Then a green circuit build. I think it's run out of copper. Yeah, we've got a copper shortage here. Steel. This, I wonder what this. Well, this must be iron smelting. Then the research area. Pretty cool. Yeah, there are not very many potion makers. I don't know if we did more than that, but kind of felt like we did more than that. So maybe they were researching things more slowly than we were. Nice little battery build, sharing all the beacons down the middle. That's quite nice. Whoa, what's going on here? Okay, so they seem to be stockpiling light oil for reasons. Right, what's going on? So this is normally a sign that something isn't right. I think possibly they're, I don't know, I'm just guessing. Where does it even... I'm looking for where it goes somewhere. Yeah, this looks like desperation to me. Like the refineries were backing up, so they kept just adding tanks to try and make it behave. I'm guessing. Oh, this is where. So it backfills from here. So the pump is here. So they needed a pump above it, really. So then they're measuring the level in here. And this pump is turning on and off, so it must be on and off based upon how much is in this. But I bet there's a little bit of downtime when things backflow, when it just hits a threshold. So really, if you're doing this sort of thing, you need to use an SR latch so that it is properly on for a period of time and then properly off. Otherwise it stutters, and each time it stutters, it pushes a bit more fluid into this contraption here. Okay, so there's light oil cracking going on. Petroleum seems quite backed up. Alright, so then the rest of the light oil is going into making fuel. Pretty similar to the setup we had. It's just that they're doing this in amongst the rocket fuel production, whereas we had one module that was doing just solid fuel and another one doing the rocket fuel. Okay, and then yeah, plenty of plastic being made, loaded onto trains and taken over to where it was being used. Oh, and they also Use the same train for moving the sulfuric acid. Well, not a bad thing. Sulfuric acid, you use it in such small quantities. What do we have here? Oh, nuclear. Okay. Cool. So it looks like they were mainly, solely nuclear powered by this point. So then, iron big one, 5.6 million, 5.4. Yeah, so the resources were not rich on this map. We had to we had the same map for the two teams, with the same spawn site. So it was entertaining getting enough material in to keep things running. Okay, is there another nuclear over here? Yep. Wow. Okay. Okay, so we are launching satellites fairly regularly. That's cool. I wonder what their payload is. That's the old rocket silo. So where is the new rocket silo? Down here. Okay, so I think I'll need to run there. And then maybe we can find out what they're launching into space. I secretly hope it's fish, but it's hard to automate, isn't it? I think there's a mod where you can farm fish. Yeah, so both teams were just building under such time pressure that the spaghetti really, really does get spaghettied. Yeah, and even at the end we still had some lines like this from ore patches. Okay, so we're down at the proper rocket build. Yeah, so just trying to get rid of the last bits of ore. I think, to be honest, small things I would have just built over. Life is short. 48 hours is not long. Okay. So this is launching at a fair whack now. I'm impressed. And the silo is down here. So they just loaded this up with any old rubbish that was lying around. Yeah, so this would have been whatever was in their inventory, just throw it in. So this is done 66 rockets, this one's done 106, and then they had the other rocket silo, which I didn't see how many it had launched. But this is pretty good. So let's look at the production stats. 16 million green circuits, 500,000 blues, 3.4 of reds, 127 tier 3 green modules. I'm guessing most of that would have gone to making suits. Right, what I'm looking for is the total count of... So 5.7k speed modules, so that's about as many as we had production modules, which is not too shabby, not too shabby at all. And I'm looking for production chips. Oh, more production than speed. Okay, 6.6 of production and 5.7 of speed. That seems a bit out of whack. You generally end up using more speed than production, just because some of the things you're making can't have production in, because they're placeable items. Okay, so I think if they slapped down another 2 or 3 of these builds, they would have caught up. But obviously with base this size, I don't think they would have harvested the resources for it. Yeah, okay. Well, anyway, thanks very much for watching. I hope you don't mind me showing off group maps, particularly this one, which I didn't have any part in building, and another rocket. I'll be back again sometime for stuff. Goodness knows what it'll be next time. I believe the GM8 people are wanting to run Factorio competitions regularly, like once a month. I don't know if it'll always be Factorio, but if it is, I'll probably be trying to be involved. I encourage you to join in. It was really good fun. Alright, well, thanks very much. See you again soon. Like, subscribe, tell your friends, and laters.